Good morning, everyone. Yep, I got over it. Still a little coughing, well, I don't cough all the time, but not like that. And my nose is still a little, but I just winterized the barn, so lots of dust flying in this net, hay, so yeah, I probably got a little stuff still in there, so. But good morning. It is a good morning. And I thought on how some people live to become successful. That's it. Rich. That's their goal in life, to become rich. Then there are others, they just live to survive. Don't want much, don't need much, just want to enjoy life, right? Yes? Well, oh, but if you get rich, you'll enjoy life. No, you don't. You know, when you have a lot of money, this and that, a lot of stuff, what do you have to worry about? That it is getting taken away from you. So I found something in Ecclesiastes. Interesting word. And as I just read through it, I goes, okay, what do you want to share? Come on, let me see here. I have to say, first of all, it's a song that just about everyone knows. I bet a lot of people don't know it's actually came out of the Bible. And the other thing, I had to remind myself that anything written in the Bible, unless it was given specifically by God or Jesus, has been written by men. Humans. And one thing with humans is that we view things as it is, right? With what the reality is on what we have done, what we have created, our ancestors have, right? So that doesn't mean that that's God's ideal. Okay, that does not mean that at all, because we're still, basically, when it comes down to it, we're still searching for that. What is the ideal? Well, the one thing that gives away a big portion of it is God's love is unchanging. No matter what. That stays the same. Then the other thing is that the laws of heaven don't change. The 10 Commandments will never change. And that should already give us an inkling, right? I've said this before, right? With the one commandment, thou shalt not kill. Well, no, it should say thou shalt not murder. But actually killing other human beings, if the necessity arises, the need arises, is okay. All right. Who came up with that? Again, when you listen to other people, look at the person and be aware and beware on what their agenda is. There shouldn't be a human being out there in the world. Not one. I don't care how old they are, where they live, what they look like, who would want to kill another human being. No matter what. Even if their own life is threatened by one. Oh, well, if every human being were to think, that wouldn't happen. Well, then where do we start? I am not going to be a human being living in this world. And I know, I grew up in an okay place, in a very great place. Then I moved on to another continent, to another great place, really, when it comes down to it. I did live 18 years in the city. I don't know how people survive in the city. I don't know how we survived in the neighborhood we moved to. I have no idea. A street over, there were drive-by shootings going on. Not in our street, but there. I mean, that's just one line of houses between you and mayhem. Yes. Yeah. Being out on the street, I came across I was 4 months pregnant. Drove with my car, had just turned the corner from our street onto San Pablo. And there was a Walgreens. I don't know, maybe they got robbed too or something. And there were a group of kids, 14 to 16, 17 or something, teenagers, and they threw rocks at my car. My window was open. And I had just read a story on where on the freeway, a woman that was pregnant, right? I was pregnant, remember? Was pregnant. Something flew into her windshield, not windshield, through her window that was open on the passenger side, and hit her in the head and killed her instantly. Yeah? Okay. So I thought, oh my gosh, I need to let these guys know, don't do that. What are you doing? So here I am. I'm not, I'm going to go and teach these black kids a lesson. That's not what I thought at the time. It was, I got to let these kids know what you're doing is really dangerous. Don't do that. So I went and parked in the Walgreens parking lot, and I got out, and I went towards them kids, and I said, hey, why are you throwing rocks at people's cars? You just threw a rock at my car. Why do you do that? You know how dangerous that is? You could have killed me. If, as I said, with the other side. Oh my gosh. They went on, there was no, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, this, that, oh, nothing. Oh, no. They went on instant and started to, and I'm going, oh, crap, if they kick me or something, I'm pregnant. Yeah, what am I going to do? And I'm looking, I'm going, wow, what's up with these kids? These teenagers. So here I'm going, help, somebody please help me. I think I'm going to get attacked. There was a whole bunch of people at the bus stop, just a few feet away. Do you think one person would have gotten up? What do you think what color they were? Oh. Yeah. So don't tell me. So there was a guy on the other side. There were still telephone booths, and he dropped the phone and he ran across the street. And when the kids saw that there was help coming, in the form of a guy, he was a white guy, they took off. Oh, and they called me everything and under the sun. The profanity was just, okay. All right. There you go. Well, you should not have, Okay, I'm sorry. So we're not allowed to say stuff like this happen. We're not allowed to say anything because of what? Because of the color of my skin? All right. So what are we accepting out there as any human being, and then decide that we get to act accordingly? I wanted to let those young kids know you could go to jail for murder. Please don't do what you're doing. And from what I saw, I cared more for the life, the soul and spirit of these children, of these teenagers, than anyone else there. These teenagers' lives mattered to me. And I tried to do something before something really bad could happen with what they were doing. You see? Yeah? But people don't want to see it that way, right? Yeah? Yeah. Even in the way I have to tell the story. Yes? It's very sad. It's very sad. This isn't something that God invented. This is man-made. Okay? It's man-made. So I survived. I survived the city for 18 years. I came out here. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I decide. First of all, there's nothing like that happens here to begin with. And the other thing, I decide who I want to be around. Right? Which, in a way, that's kind of what it has come down to. You decide how much of part you want to be of these conflicts out there that are lies. They're lies. They are just lies. So, the reason I came up with that is because In this passage with this song, there are some things in it, again, that are a part of our time. They were a part of that time, and they're a part of our time still. So then one has to almost say, well, I'll just have to choose the lesser of the two evils, right? Which is, I'm at least not on the offense. I'm on the defense, right? Yes? Okay. But neither one is right. Neither should exist. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Let's see. I can't sing the song because this is a little different, but it's there is a season. Dun, 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 dun. That's the song, right? Yeah. A time for every occupation. There is a season for everything, a time for every occupation under heaven. A time for giving birth, a time for dying, a time for planting, a time for uprooting what has been planted. That's why I'm saying a time for killing, a time for healing, a time for knocking down, a time for building, a time for tears, a time for laughter, a time for mourning, a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones away, a time for gathering them, a time for embracing, a time to refrain from embracing, a time for searching, a time for losing, a time for keeping, a time for discarding, a time for tearing, a time for sowing, a time for keeping silent, a time for speaking, a time for loving, a time for hating, a time for war, a time for peace. What do people gain from the efforts they make? I started this with what? Yes. I contemplate the task that God gives humanity to labor at. All that he does is apt for its time. But although he has given us an awareness of the passage of time, we can grasp neither the beginning nor the end of what God does. I said, just because we're confronted with things that shouldn't exist, it just shouldn't. Right? And then we have to make these choices. I said, I will never go on the offense to want to kill someone. I don't want to be on the defense side either. To try to, I'm ready for you. I'm not going to do that either. I don't want to do either. That's God's ideal. That is what God does. So, I know what God does. I know what he's expecting of us. It shouldn't be so hard to figure that out. But here again, the question's there. Because of so many man-made problems out there that shouldn't exist ever. I know there is no happiness for a human being except in pleasure and enjoyment through life. And when what did I say in the beginning? Many people out there, they live to be successful and become rich. And while others are doing what? And when we eat, drink, and find happiness in all our achievements, this is a gift from God. I know whatever God achievements is different from. Okay, I know that whatever an achievement is to grow a plant. That's not being successful and getting rich. That's an achievement. If you plant a seed and that seed grows and bears fruit or veggies, right? Yes. Raise a baby chick. It starts to lay eggs if it's a hen. Cool, huh? Yes. You're not going to get rich from doing that, but they're great achievements. I know, and that is a gift from God. I know that whatever God does will be forever. To this there is nothing to add. From this there is nothing to subtract. And the way God acts inspires dread. What is, has been already. What will be, is already. God seeks out anyone who is persecuted. Again, I observe under the sun, crime is where justice should be. The criminal is where the upright should be. And I think to myself, the upright and the criminal will both be judged by God, since there is a time for everything and every action here. If you understand this last part, if you really listen to what I just said before. If the people didn't want it, it wouldn't exist. You can only be a criminal if you have the permission of the rest of the public to do so. I think to myself, where human beings are concerned, this is so that God can test them and show them that they are animals. Oh, okay. I think to myself, so whoever wrote this, okay, I disagree, but that's their thoughts. It's in the Bible, so we'll read it as it is. I do not believe that God tests us in any way. He is asking us to search for our true self, the part where He can be a part of, right, in our life. That's not a test. How could that be a test? To find your original self is not a test. That's abdicating everything you don't need to be. It's not a test. Well, anyway, for the fate of human and the fate of animal, for the fate of human and the fate of animal is the same. As the one dies, so the other dies. Oh. Both have the self-same breath. Human is in no way better off than animal, since all is futile. Okay, we all understand this part now. And maybe the upper part of it. I think to myself, where human beings are concerned, this is so that God can test them and show them that they are animals. Okay, so the rest of it then that I read, okay, the test, okay, we're not animals. We're completely a different being from animals. We're under the principles of love. The animals are under the principles of creation. But when it comes down to it, when it comes to our last breath, it is the same. Physically, we expire. And I think animals are being used for that. Well, you're not going to be any better off. You're not going to become immortal. It doesn't matter how many plastic surgeries you get, or this or that. You're going to break down. You are. You just are. It's not, you can't stop it. Your time will come. And that is that. An animal's not really concerned with that, though, right? So, no. Again, we're not the same as animals. I know. It's one of those things. People want to compare themselves or compare certain things to animals in a good way and in an evil way. And it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't. Since all is futile. Okay, futile in what way? You're preparing for the next life as human beings. Animals don't do that. Neither do plants, right? All right? But people do. Human beings prepare for the afterlife. Many of them do. Some don't. But many of them do. So it's not futile. None of it is futile. Again, I'm just saying, from my life experience, I can't agree with everything that's written in the Bible. Because that's not how I experienced it. That's not how I am experiencing it. That's not how I experience God's love and His guidance and direction. And I know it means, well, at the end of life, okay, we could get into that, yeah, that animals do have a spirit, but an animal spirit and a human spirit works differently because we have one more component. Yeah, okay, all right. Again, People have to experience this on their own. There's no way, otherwise you will believe it. All right. But here it is. Everything goes to the same place. Everything comes from the dust. Everything returns to the dust. Not true either. But I won't say much more on that one for right now. Who knows if the human spirit mounts upward or if the animal spirit goes downward to the earth? Good question. You see, now if I would explain the next part of this, right, then would have, to me, as I said, when you start to just accept God into your life 100%, there is no, and God is the most important being in your life. The absolute most important. There isn't anything more important. Oh, so I always do everything perfect and right. That's not what no. I accept God's guidance 100%. I will accept other people's guidance. I will accept that too if it does not interfere with God's guidance and ideal. But when you commit 100%, say, well, no, okay, well, that sounds good, but that's not God's ideal. According to the Ten Commandments, what you just said, I'm going to be breaking one. So but I can't do that. I cannot let go of God's guidance and direction. I cannot do that. It's amazing when you start doing that on how many things. As I said, even when I read the Bible, I'm going, no, that wasn't right. That's not right. It isn't right. It is not said right. But this was a question. Who knows if the human spirit, so whoever wrote doesn't know. Who knows if the human spirit mounts upward or if the animal spirit goes downward to the earth? I see there is no contentment for a human being except happiness in achievement. Such is the lot of human beings. Oh, there's a typo. No one can tell us what will happen after we are gone. I think that if you sit down and you look back on your life, it doesn't matter, even if you're just a child of 5 years old. So when you sit down and you look back at your life, you know exactly what you did right and what you did wrong. You know when you have achieved something good, and you know when that didn't happen. So, no one can tell us what will happen after we are gone. That's right. No one can tell you. And no one can tell me. I'm the only one who knows best. Who knows me best? When it comes to human beings, as I said there, I do know someone who knows me better than anything and everything. And that's my Heavenly Parent. You know what? Whew, I'm so glad He's my Heavenly Parent. God is grace and God has mercy. Yes. Anywho. I had a dream with 2 words in it. Well, I guess 3 if you count end. And that was treatment and payment. They go hand in hand. And basically spirit world, in a way, that's all I got. That was it. And I kept, while I was dreaming still, I woke up and went, okay, sometimes I think, I was sick at the time too, so sometimes I think, okay, spirit world just kind of works with me, and however, physically I'm there as well, so I can remember, right? Yeah. So we can't give her more than 2 words, but it'll be enough. She'll get it, right? So treatment and payment. It'd be interesting to know if treatment is available without payment. And on how treatment and payment is viewed in the fallen world, under Satan's lineage. And on how treatment and payment works when you're on the side of goodness and part of God's lineage. I think that I was given that in a way because payment, treatment, and payment are words people understand. There is no confusion what that is, right? Yes? And on how it is of great benefit, and on how it can be greatly abused as well, right? Yes? Well, I'm going to stop here. There's more. I think I'm going to keep this page open. Society and about oppression. Yes? Beware when you are out there presenting yourself as the oppressed. Because I found that if one digs a little deeper for the reasons, often the ones thinking they're oppressed are actually the oppressors. Yeah. Having said that, God's love and blessings always, and I will talk to y'all another time. Achievements. I like that. Success and getting rich versus achievement. Must think about that.